The truck shudders as it rolls to a stop, gravel crunching beneath the tires. Wind presses hard against the side mirrors, dry and restless, the kind that never stops moving out here. The farmhouse sits ahead, white paint peeling, porch sagging under the weight of silence. Daniel kills the engine. The sound dies, and with it, the last thread of the city. What's left is a hum of cicadas and the slow creak of the weather vane twisting above the barn. He doesn't move, just stays through the cracked windshield of the place he now owns. A text lights up his phone. "Mara, call me when you get there." He stays at the message for a long time, thumb hovering over the screen. Then he tosses the phone onto the seat. It slides and lands face down. When he steps out, the air tastes of dust and something faintly sweet. Wheat or wildflowers. Maybe. He walks toward the porch, boots sinking into dry soil. Each step feels like it's being swallowed. The front door gives under his hand with a long, low groan. Inside, it's dim and cool, the scent of old wood thick enough to touch. But something's off. The floorboards are swept. A thin line of sunlight cuts through clean glass. Someone's been here. He pauses, listening. The house breathes around him. Timbers shifting, a window sighing open upstairs. Then a sound from the kitchen, the light scrape of metal on wood. Daniel turns his head slowly. On the table sits a loaf of bread. Fresh. Still warm enough that faint tendrils of steam rise from the crust. He backs away a step, every sense sharpened. The door to the back porch stands open, curtain fluttering like a quiet warning. Beyond it, the land stretches, golden, endless, untouched. He steps outside again. Wind stays his hair. Something moves at the edge of the wheat field. 3 shadows. For a second, he thinks they are trees, their outlines bending against the horizon. But trees don't move like that, slow, deliberate, with rhythm and weight. He blinks. The figures draw closer, and the scale of them locks his breath. Each one towers above the fences, taller than the barn roof itself. They move with a stillness that feels impossible, as though the air makes room for them. He can't run. He can't even look away. The first of them steps into the clearing. Her hair glints like copper in the dying sun, skin pale as morning dust. Her eyes, dark, steady, endless. The second follows, her frame wider, her face shadowed by the brim of what might be a woven crown of straw. The third moves last, slower than the wind, gaze fixed straight on him. They stop 20 paces away, their presence pressing against the world. The smallest, if that word means anything here, tilts her head. "You came," she says. Her voice is low, but the air trembles with it. Daniel doesn't answer. His throat is dry. "This land called for you." Another says, "The one with a straw crown." "It always does." He takes a step back. His heel hits the porch step, and he stops himself from falling. Who are you?" For a moment, none of them speak. Then the copper-haired woman kneels, and the ground shudders beneath her knees. She's close enough that her breath moves his hair. "Lyra," she says, "and my sisters, Thea and Celine." He shakes his head, a nervous laugh breaking through. This is, no. But they only watch him. Thea gestures toward the fields, vast and gold, waves rising and falling like the sea. "You feel it, don't you? The pull. The soil knows your name." Daniel swallows. The words sound like prophecy, but the ground beneath his boots feels alive. A pulse, faint but real. "This is my land," he says quietly, as if reminding himself. "I bought it." Lyra smiles, the kind of smile that feels older than speech. "You bought nothing, Daniel. The land was never for sale." Her hand, large, smooth, heavy as memory, lowers until her fingertip brushes the brim of his hat. "You only answered." He steps back, chest height. "I don't understand any of this." Celine, silent until now, lifts her gaze to the sky. The clouds above shift, dimming the sun. "You will." The wind rises, carrying the smell of rain that isn't there. Daniel feels a way to their eyes, not hungry, not cruel, but certain in a way he's never been. His phone buzzes again in his pocket. He doesn't move to take it out. Lyra leans closer, her shadow covering him like a storm cloud. "You belong to us now." The words sink deep, like roots breaking into soil. For a long moment, everything stops, the wind, the insects, even his breath. Then, as quickly as they came, the three women turn. Their silhouettes fade back into the wheat, dissolving into gold and silence. Daniel stands alone. The world around him seems to exhale, softer now, slower. He looks down. The earth beneath his boots is damp, though it hasn't rained in weeks. He crouches, presses his palm to it, and feels warmth, faint, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. When he rises, the sky has gone red with sunset. He walks back to the porch, each step unsteady, every sound louder than it should be. Inside, the bread still sits on the table. A knife rests beside it. One slice has been cut, neatly, evenly, and placed on a plate across from the empty chair. His chair. He doesn't eat. Just stands there, staring at it, until the last light leaves the room. Outside, something moves again in the field. Not footsteps this time. A whisper, a sigh, the sound of earth breathing in sleep. Daniel closes the door. The old hinges echo through the quiet house. The farm hums softly around him. Alive, waiting. He sits down at the table, hands trembling, and stares at the single slice of bread. He can smell it now, warm, fragrant, impossibly fresh. A sound comes from outside, low, distant thunder, but the sky is clear. He doesn't go to the window. He doesn't need to. Somewhere in the dark, three voices rise together, low, melodic, and strange, their harmony deep enough to shake the air. Daniel closes his eyes. The sound moves through him like wind through wheat, and beneath it, steady as the earth itself, a single truth settles in his chest. He is not alone here. Not anymore. Daniel wakes to the wind, shaking the porch boards. His palms are pressed to the edge of the table, fingers tracing the grooves in the wood as if they could map the heartbeat of the house. Outside, the wheat bends, not with wind, but with some slow, deliberate motion. The three figures appear again before he even moves from the chair. Lyra first, stepping from the field like dawn breaking over the horizon. Thea follows, her shadow stretching across the ground, taller than any barn. Celine comes last, slow, almost floating, as if the earth carries her. No words, just their presence, and the pulse beneath his boots, throbbing like a second heartbeat. "You felt it," Lyra says finally. Her voice rolls through the air, low and deliberate, vibrating the porch beams. The call of this land. Daniel swallows hard. His throat is dry. I don't understand. I just bought it. I don't belong here." Thea steps closer, moving through the wheat as if she owns every stalk. "You belong wherever the land chooses," she says, voice cutting through the air, sharp and clear. "Not where you think you do." Celine tilts her head, eyes fixed on the horizon. "You've lived in the city, tied to walls, schedules, and empty streets. Here you feel alive because the earth remembers you." Daniel's boots scrape against the porch boards as he rises, uncertain. Every instinct tells him to run, but his legs refuse. There is something in their gaze, not threat, not demand, but an inevitability that presses into his chest like the weight of rain-laden clouds. "They're just giant women," he mutters under his breath. "This isn't real." The wind bends a wheat sharply, like the field itself responds. Lyra's lips twitch into a smile. "You may call us giant, but it is not size that matters. It is what you cannot escape. What waits beneath the soil? What watches you when you think no one does?" Daniel's chest tightens. The air smells of rain, of earth, of something wild and old. He moves forward, cautious, feet crunching against the dry soil. Every step seems to resonate with the pulse he felt yesterday, that strange thrum beneath the ground. "You've been alone here," Thea says. "But alone is not empty. Not truly. And loneliness is a way of drawing what waits for you out of the shadows." Daniel glances at the wheat field. They're moving, subtle but unmistakable, the curves of their silhouettes. They bend toward him and yet do not cross the invisible boundary of the field. Their size is overwhelming, impossible, but the pull isn't fair. It's longing. "Why me?" Daniel asks, voice hoarse. "Why now?" Celine steps forward. Each movement makes the earth tremble just enough to send a shiver through him. Because the land chose you. Because you are ready. Because you seek what your life has denied you and you don't even know it yet. Daniel runs a hand down his face. He feels the tension coiling in his chest, tight and restless. I'm married, he whispers. His lips barely move, but the words taste bitter and hollow. Lyra tilts her head. Marriage is a promise between people. But the heart belongs to the one it cannot deny. You've been walking away from it for years. Thea crouches slightly, fingertips brushing the tops of the wheat. It bends toward her as if listening. The earth does not lie. And you cannot hide your desire, Daniel. Not here, not from us, not from yourself. Daniel feels a strange dizziness, a pull so strong he has to steady himself against the railing. Every instinct in him fights, screams for reason, for retreat. Yet the warmth beneath his feet, the vibration of the soil, the presence of them, it is intoxicating, magnetic, impossible to resist. He remembers Mara's text, her voice over the phone, cold, distracted. Her absence in his life presses against him like the wind outside, relentless, empty. And now, this weight, this presence, this promise that he could be seen, held, acknowledged in ways he hasn't felt in years. I can't, he begins. But Lyra steps closer, each motion deliberate, graceful, inevitable. The ground quivers slightly under her weight. She doesn't reach for him physically, but the air shifts, and it feels as if her hand brushes his chest without touching him. You can, she says softly, if you dare. Daniel looks at Thea, at Celine, at the field surrounding him. He wants to speak, to argue, to reject the pull, but the words die in his throat. The pulse beneath his feet grows stronger, resonant with something deep inside him. It hums in his bones. Stay with us, Celine says. Her voice is a whisper and a command all at once. Feel what is yours, what you've been denying, not in body alone, but in every part of you that aches for freedom. The sun dips lower, painting their enormous shadows across the wheat. Daniel's eyes track the lines of them, following each subtle movement. Every detail, the curve of an arm, the tilt of a head, the brush of hair against the wind, feels intentional, mesmerizing. Something inside him shifts, a truth he cannot name. His fingers curl around the edge of the porch, nails digging into the wood. The pulse beneath his boots is now a roar, overwhelming and undeniable. Daniel begins, but his voice falters. His heart pounds with a mixture of fear, awe, and a desire so profound it feels wrong and right all at once. Lyra steps forward, closer than before. He does not step back. She doesn't touch him, yet the world seems smaller somehow, the horizon closer, the wheat bending toward him. We've been waiting, she says. The land brought you here. We will not leave you to wander alone. Thea kneels slightly, and he feels a ground shift, rising gently beneath her knees. You've been searching for something you cannot name, she murmurs. The heart knows, the earth knows, and we will guide you. Celine lifts her gaze, sharp and clear against the twilight. What will you do, Daniel? Will you honor what the land has given you, or cling to what it cannot hold? He swallows hard. The wind ruffles his hair, a low murmur threading through the wheat. The warmth beneath his boots pulses in response, strong, insistent. Daniel looks out across the field, and for the first time since he arrived, he does not feel alone. Not with the three of them waiting, watching, calling to him. Not with the pull of the land thrumming beneath his feet. Not with the impossible weight of desire pressing against his chest, neither fully named nor understood. He breathes in deep. The air tastes of earth and something older, something that promises belonging beyond anything he's ever known. And though he knows he should run, he does not. He stays. The sun disappears fully. Shadows stretch across the wheat. The wind lifts a dozen loose stalks into the air. And Daniel feels, in the depths of his chest, the undeniable, magnetic truth of it. The land has claimed him, and the three giants are the keepers of his new world. Night falls like a heavy curtain over the wheat fields. Daniel sits on the porch, boots dangling just above the soil, the wind tugging at his coat and hair. The farmhouse is quiet, yet alive. Somewhere inside, the bread he hasn't touched for days smells faintly sweet, reminding him of human routines he no longer keeps. A flicker of movement in the moonlight catches his eye. Lyra steps from the wheat, her silhouette stretched tall and elegant against the silvered field. Thea and Selene follow, moving silently as shadows folding into one another. The air feels heavier, thicker with their presence. Daniel swallows. His hands tighten on the railing. I can't stay here, he whispers. The words sound small, fragile, lost in the night. Lyra tilts her head. You can, and you will. Not because you must, but because your heart is ready. Thea steps closer. The ground bends beneath her weight as if it wants to lift her, to pull her nearer. Do not mistake hesitation for loyalty, she says. Your life before this, it was empty. You know it. Daniel hears Mara's voice in his head, sharp, distant, accusing. Where are you? Are you even thinking of us? He feels a surge of guilt that cuts deeper than the cold wind. He stands, shoulders stiff, eyes scanning the field. You're married, he says aloud. I have a wife. I can't. Selene moves forward slowly, the earth humming with every step she takes. Her gaze is calm, relentless. Marriage is not the same as heart, she whispers. You've been walking through life with one hand tied. Now you can choose. The wind bends the wheat sharply. Shadows twist around him, shifting between silver and black, and Daniel feels a pull again, stronger, undeniable. Every instinct in him screams both fear and longing. He remembers the first night, the bread on the table, the empty chair, the pulse beneath his boots. That same pulse thrums now, louder, echoing in his chest, in his ribs, in every hollowed space of his body. A sigh rises from the field, low and melodic. Lyra's hand, impossibly large, impossibly soft, hovers in the air near him, brushing against nothing yet pressing against him all the same. You've been seeking comfort, she says, and avoiding it at the same time. The heart wants what it wants. Daniel, you cannot pretend otherwise. He turns his gaze upward, catching the first stars blinking faintly through the night sky. The emptiness of the city, of Mara's distant voice, of long hours spent chasing work, all of it presses against him. Hey, with him, the world feels alive. Oh, true. Thea kneels in the wheat, fingertips grazing the tops of the golden stalks. The field bends toward her like water toward a stone. The land chooses the faithful, she murmurs. Do you belong to it or to the shadows of your past? Daniel's chest tightens. He feels trapped between two worlds, one that demands loyalty, one that offers belonging. He tastes the fear of guilt on his tongue, but also the sweetness of release, the pull of surrender. Then, a sound, a car on the gravel road. Mara. He stiffens. She steps out, coat pressed tight around her. Her eyes search the house, then the fields, then him. Daniel, she says sharply. What's going on here? This isn't right. He looks at her, the woman who once filled every corner of his life. But he feels a chasm where warmth should be. He knows she doesn't understand, cannot understand. Not here, not now. I can't explain, he says. The words feel hollow even as he speaks them. Mara steps closer. The porch creaks beneath her boots. You've been changed, she says. I can see it in your eyes. What is happening here? Daniel glances at the wheat field. Shadows shift. 3 figures bend toward him, silent, immense, impossible. Their presence presses against the edges of reality, and the ground seems to hum with warning and invitation alike. They're just... He starts, then stops. How can he explain what isn't human? What is too large to hold in words? Lyra tilts her head, her eyes gleaming under moonlight. We are what you need, Daniel, she says. The land, the pulse, the promise. You belong to us as surely as we belong to it. Daniel's fingers clutch the railing. His breath comes fast. The hum beneath his feet rises, echoing in his chest, filling the hollow spaces with something electric, alive. Mara shakes her head, voice tight with frustration and fear. This is insane. You can't just... I can't go back, Daniel says softly. The words surprise even him. I'm done trying to hold on to a life that isn't here. Not for me. Thea moves closer, the wheat bending as if it's part of her. Then you must choose, she whispers. Heart or duty? belonging or the empty promises of what once was. Daniel closes his eyes. The wind lifts loose strands of his hair. He feels it, the pull, the warmth, the undeniable claim of the earth, the field, the women. Every fiber of his being is drawn to it. Mara turns toward the road, anger and fear burning in her eyes. "You're leaving me," she says, voice breaking. Daniel says nothing. He cannot. He can only feel the weight of the soil beneath his boots, the steady thrum beneath the porch, the way the three giants wait, patient, relentless, knowing. Lyra steps forward, voice low, intimate, carrying across the field. To stay is to betray yourself. To leave is to remain trapped. Your choice is simple if you have courage enough to hear it. The hum rises, a deep resonance that presses against Daniel's chest. He bends slightly, hands brushing the wheat at the edge of the field. It bends toward him, alive, breathing. He looks back once at Mara. Her figure on the road is small, distant, fading with every blink. Then he turns fully toward the giants, toward the field, toward the pulse that moves beneath him. He steps forward. The ground rises faintly under his boots. Lyra's shadow stretches over him. Thea kneels in the wheat, brushing the stalks toward him. Celine moves silently, guiding, commanding, waiting. The wind carries a faint smell of rain and something older, something wild and untamed. Daniel inhales. His heartbeat sinks with the pulse beneath him, and he kneels in the soil, hands pressed deep into the earth, palms sifting through dirt, roots, and warmth. He bows his head, not in fear, not in submission, but in devotion to the land, to the pulse, to the impossible presence that calls him home. The giants stand over him, silent, patient, monumental. Their shadow stretches across the field, across him, across every part of the man he once was. Daniel breathes in again. He knows what he has done. He has betrayed the past, the promises, the empty weight of loyalty. But in doing so, he has found the first taste of belonging, of freedom, of truth. The night folds around him. The field sways gently, like breath. The hum beneath his feet grows softer, a low, satisfied resonance. He closes his eyes, and in the darkness, he finally feels at peace. The sun rises slow and pale, brushing the wheat in shades of gold and amber. Daniel walks barefoot along the edge of the field, fingers brushing the tops of the stalks. Every step sinks slightly into the soft soil, warm, alive, pulsing beneath him. No sound of traffic, no distant sirens, no city hum. Only the wind, the field, and the quiet rustle of grass. He hears it first, the soft crunch of boots against gravel. Mara's voice carries on the morning wind, hesitant, distant. "Daniel." He stops, hand pressed lightly against a fence post, letting the morning dew chill his skin. He can see her silhouette, small and human against a vast expanse of farmland. Her coat flutters in the wind, eyes wide, searching. He does not move toward her. The pull in his chest, the pulse beneath his feet, the warmth in his hands, anchors him here. The three giants are waiting, not in the field, not quite, but their presence hums through the earth, surrounding him like invisible walls. Mara takes another step forward, voice sharp now, trembling. "You can't do this. You can't just—" She stops, when stealing the word from her lips. Her gaze sweeps the field. "What have you become?" Daniel doesn't answer. Words would fail him. Instead, he kneels in the soil again, palms pressed into the earth. The pulse beneath him rises like a low drum, steady, insistent. Lyra appears first, stepping from the field like sunlight breaking through morning haze. Her shadow stretches across him, warm and protective. Thea follows, bending the wheat slightly as she moves, each stalk swaying toward her. Celine comes last, silent, commanding. The three of them surround him in the field, enormous, patient, monumental, yet their presence does not frighten him. Mara takes a step back, confusion and fear battling in her eyes. "Daniel, what is this?" He rises slowly, palms brushing against the date, feeling the heartbeat of the land in his hands. "It's who I am now," he says quietly. "This place, this life, I belong here." Mara shakes her head, voice tight with disbelief. "You belong to me. You." He holds up a hand, gentle but firm. I used to. I tried, but I cannot go back. Not anymore. The giant sways slightly, their silhouettes brushing the wheat. The field seems to lean toward Daniel, guiding him, confirming his choice. Every blade whispers acceptance. Every gust of wind carries assurance. Mara's figure flickers in the heat of the morning. She looks at him, a mixture of grief, anger, and disbelief. Then this is it? You're leaving me. Daniel lowers his gaze to the earth. He does not answer with words. He only kneels again, placing his palms against the soil, feeling warmth, life, and pulse. He inhales deeply. The wind lifts loose strands of his hair and carries with it the scent of rain that isn't there, the faint sweetness of wheat, the weight of something older than any promise he ever knew. The three giants step closer, their presence folding around him like a protective shroud. Daniel feels their eyes, their intention, their claim, without seeing their faces. The air vibrates gently, affirming, steady. He takes Mara's hand. Oh, would if she were here. But she is already retreating down the gravel path, small and fragile against the vast horizon. Her coat flaps in the wind. Her footsteps fade, and Daniel feels no pull to follow. The field bends, almost imperceptibly, beneath him, welcoming. Lyra steps forward, voice soft, carrying over the swaying wheat. You are home, she says, as you were meant to be. Thea kneels beside him, brushing the tips of the wheat toward him. You've been faithful to what matters, she murmurs. To the earth, to the pulse, to the truth inside you. Celine remains slightly apart, still, monumental, watching the horizon. Belonging is not given, she says, low and deliberate. It is claimed by those who dare. Daniel closes his eyes. His hands sink deeper into the earth. The pulse beneath him strengthens, humming through his chest, his bones, his very soul. He feels peace, complete and undeniable, and a twinge of sorrow for the life and love he left behind. But the sorrow does not ache. It is distant, like a memory of rain long past. He stands slowly. The giants tower over him, shadows long in the morning light, their presence filling the field, the farmhouse, and the air between the clouds. Daniel inhales again, chest rising with the rhythm of the pulse beneath him. He walks through the wheat, boots barely making a sound. Every stalk bends gently as he passes, confirming his choice, marking his place. The field, the land, the giants, all part of him now, as he is part of them. The wind rises, stirring dust, scattering loose stalks across the path. Daniel stops at the center of the field. He looks around, seeing nothing explicitly, only movement in the corner of his vision, light shifting, air humming. And yet he knows they are there, surrounding him, patient, eternal. He speaks softly, to no one and everyone. I thought I bought this land to rebuild my life. I didn't know it would claim me instead. The giants remain still. The field bends toward him. The earth hums beneath him. He breathes in deep, chest rising with a slow, steady pulse, feeling it echo inside him, inside the house, through the wheat, into the horizon. Somewhere distant, Mara's voice calls faintly, carried by the wind. Daniel does not turn. He cannot. He watches the horizon instead, where shadows of the giants stretch across the field like arms holding the world together. He steps forward, joining the rhythm of the land, letting the pulse guide him. And as he moves through the wheat, a faint laughter rises from the air. Three voices, impossible, melodic, unhuman, weaving through the stalks, the soil, the wind. Daniel closes his eyes, and finally, fully, belongs. The wind lifts, the field sighs, and the pulse beneath him continues, eternal, patient, alive.